All right, guys, I just want to real briefly talk about something that's pretty intimidating to a lot of guys, I guess. I grew up around welding, probably, well, I guess my freshman year in high school was the first time I was really around it, and started using cutting torch, then too. So, was it 13, 14, something like that? But I guess a lot of people are not exposed to it, and it can be kind of intimidating, I guess, I'm no professional welder. Actually, I was for a little while, but I welded up. I worked on a manufacturing line, and you just weld the same thing over and over and over. So, you guys that think you want to be professional welders, yeah, I kind of thought that too when I was in high school. And professional welders, it can suck, but there's different types of professional welders, and we'll just leave it at that. Some of it's great, some of it ain't. Anyhow, what I use around the shop, what I use around here, it's just this, I've got a MIG welder, and this unit, you could run flux core as well. For a lot of years, I use this little baby flux core welder down here, operates on 110 volt, I'd plug that into an extension cord and work on, shit out in the driveway. And I use that for a long time, so don't ever let anybody tell you can't, I did upgrade to this. I got a good deal on this unit, and it's, I don't know, I give about $300 for it, I guess, but you could run flux core through this. I use it on a bottle, and I actually get a lot of use out of this. This is one of them things where, guys, if you just ask somebody that's welding, go hang out with them for a little bit, a couple hours one evening or whatever, and just tinker around. Just, most people are, if you ask for help, most people are more than happy to help somebody out that just doesn't know about something. But anyhow, don't be intimidated by welding. Try it, tinker around, don't weld on anything that your life depends on or anything, until you get pretty confident. But, so get you a decent little welder, and you can pick them up on Craigslist and stuff too. Just be real careful, buying a used welder. They can get wore out, like these liners and stuff in here. The wire comes out of the unit, it runs through this cable, and it comes out your gun there. Well, there's internally, it looks like a real tight wound spring, and that's what the wire rides in. That's called the liner. I don't even know if these cheap little welders, if you can replace the liners. I know the more expensive units you can. So be careful if you buy one used, but you could probably pick these things up at Harbor Freight, and there's all kind of reviews online. Check that Chuck E 2009. He reviews Harbor Freight welders a lot. And, you can tell he's kind of biased toward the high dollar machines, but when he reviews the Harbor Freight welders, he does give them a pretty fair review, and 9 times out of 10, he's surprised at how well they do. So, check Harbor Freight out. That's where I got my cart. So, I've, for years and years, I worked in a crappy little shop. I think it was like 10 feet wide by 14 feet long. And that's all I had. I kept all my tools in there. The concrete floor was all cracked and busted. When it rained, it flooded it out. We since upgraded big time. But, hell, I'm middle-aged now. It took me a long time to get a decent shop. And I've only been in this for, a year now. So, and I'm just tinkering. Anyhow, go out, spend $300-400. Get your welder, get a bottle, find a place that sells tanks that, they sell the tank, and you can keep going back to that place and refilling the tank where you're not going to have to pay a rental, a month or an annual rental or a monthly rental. Because for guys like me that just tinker, it might take me 2-3 years to use up that whole tank of gas. And if I got to pay rent on it, whether I'm using gas or not, it gets expensive. So if you can find a place to buy your own bottle, it's a big expense up front. You might spend $200-300 on a bottle. But that bottle of gas lasts you 2-3 years, and it ain't going to cost you nothing while it's sitting there. It's your tank then. So if you don't want to spend that much, spend a couple $100, get a decent little welder like this, and use it with flux core, and you won't need that gas. But the thing you will need is a helmet. Get a automatic helmet. You can pick these up at like Harbor Freight. I think they sell them for about $60. Automatic helmets are so much easier because you can see through it. If you're not real familiar with them, you probably can't see through there. Well, yeah, I guess you can a little bit. It just looks like everything's real dark tinted green. So you can see what you're doing, and then as soon as you strike an arc, it automatically gets super dark. So, it won't burn your eyes. So, for $300, you could probably get a welder, a cart, helmet and a cheap pair of gloves, and you can be welding, you know. Tinker around, try it, don't be intimidated by it. You know, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about it, but a simple little setup like that is probably 99%, you know, all you need. I've got a big arc welder over there. I probably haven't used it in 10 or 12 years. Like, everything I do is with this or the torch setup over there. I do some brazing, you know, and heating with the torch. But don't be intimidated by welding. Look into it. It's probably something that you'll be glad you did.